Honorable Rector, members of the doctoral committee, ladies and gentlemen. First I will show you a 2-minute video that is part of the election campaign of Barack Obama, courtesy of YouTube and CNN. Together with Hillary Clinton, he is engaged in a fierce contest for the Democratic presidential nomination. The focus of this video is on the affordability problems in the American health insurance industry and is a good illustration of the point of departure of my research.
A few hours north of here, Amy and Lane run a small business that offers internet service to their community. Today, they are on the brink of bankruptcy. A bankruptcy that has nothing to do with any poor business decision they made or slump in the economy that they weren't prepared for. And Amy wrote to us and said that the day she heard the loan officer say the word bankruptcy was one of the worst in her life.
That's so embarrassing, because it just feels like we're not the kind of people who go bankrupt.
Lane was diagnosed with cancer when he was 21. 17 years later, he is cancer-free, which is a wonderful thing. But the cost of health insurance for him, his wife, and his 3 kids is now over $1,000 per month. Their family's premiums keep rising hundreds of dollars every year. And as hard as they look, they simply can't find another provider that will insure them. Amy and Lane are now paying 40% of their annual income in healthcare premiums.
And that's just insane, because that's twice as much as it costs to buy a car. It's significantly more than it costs for a mortgage.
They can no longer afford to buy new clothes or fill up their cars with gas. They've racked up more credit card debt than they know what to do with.
I felt like, well, it's my fault. It's our fault. We're failing somehow. We're doing something wrong. And, yeah, it's painful. And I think once I wrote out that story, I couldn't believe it. It was actually kind of surprising to me. I was like, oh my gosh, it's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Amy and Lane are having problems to pay their insurance premium. Lane was diagnosed with cancer when he was 21. The insurer still charges him and his family a relatively high premium, although he is now cancer-free. More than $1,000 per month. Currently, Amy and Lane can almost not afford to pay the premium, and as a consequence they are at risk of going bankrupt. Amy feels that this situation is not their fault. Many among us will agree with her point of view, I think. In the Netherlands, all 16 million inhabitants are covered for the same specified benefits package by law since January 1st, 2006. Sickness funds do no longer exist, and since then Dutch private health insurance companies operate in a competitive market for individual health insurance. Market competition is introduced in individual health insurance to ensure that insurers and providers focus on the expenditures better than before. Their company policies must be as efficient as possible. Furthermore, they must learn to better meet the preferences of their customers. Their customers must become king. This means that they should deliver good quality of care and good service. Think of more convenient opening hours and shorter waiting lists. However, there is a danger that the premiums in such markets become unaffordable for those people at risk. People such as Amy and Lane. The context of my study can be explained in more detail in the next figure. We assume that every insured pays a premium that is rated according to his or her health risk, which is also the case for Amy and Lane. How can we make that premium affordable in such a market? The best solution is the introduction of a system of risk-adjusted premium subsidies. These subsidies are paid by a so-called subsidy fund. The level of the subsidies depends on the health risk of every insured individual. Thus, Amy and Lane should get a relatively high risk-adjusted premium subsidy from this subsidy fund. They will keep on paying the same skyrocketing risk-rated premium to their insurer, but now most of it can be covered by the subsidy. The difference between the premium payment and the risk-adjusted premium subsidy is the amount of money they have to put aside to pay to their insurer themselves. However, such risk-adjusted premium subsidies do not exist in the US market for individual health insurance, and precisely this is the reason why Amy and Lane got into trouble. This is the main difference between the US market and the Dutch market for individual health insurance. In the Dutch market, indeed the sponsor, that is Dutch government, did introduce such a system of risk-adjusted premium subsidies. In practice, the risk-adjusted premium subsidies are never paid to the individual insured people themselves, but to their insurers. This reduces deployment costs, because in that case the premium subsidies can be summed up and made payable for large groups of insured people. An insurer with a lot of relatively old, unhealthy members thus receives a larger sum of subsidies than an insurer with many young, healthy insured people. In this way, insurers are compensated for the risk profile of their portfolio. Therefore, this system is called risk equalization among insurers. The subsidy fund is called risk equalization fund in this case. The health insurer subtracts the individual risk-adjusted premium subsidy from the risk-rated premium and charges its individual member for the remaining part. Then there remains the question, where does the money for the subsidies which are paid by the risk equalization fund come from? In the Netherlands, the insured people pay an income-related solidarity compensation payment, which is collected by the tax agency and subsequently transferred to the risk equalization fund. The income tax rate is equal to 6.5%, up to a maximum of €30,600 per year. The risk equalization fund can be financed in many other ways, but this is not part of my study.